Alrighty. Now, if you're sitting on a set of plans that you've been developing for years, or if you're about to head into construction and you're getting cold feet because of everything that's going on in the world, now we have an Iran war and energy prices going through the roof, this episode is specifically for you. Now, since COVID, I've been asked more times than I can count where construction costs are going. And of course, I'm a bit of a nerd for this, I must say. I do dive deep into it. I love economics, which is nerdy as hell. I want to understand how the world works. And so I think, and of course, boots on the ground experience, being a local Melbourne builder for the past 12 years, I think I'm very well placed to give you an insight into where the industry's at. And the amount of conversations I've had the past 6 or 7 years have centered around where are construction prices heading? Are they going to come down? And I don't know about you, my experience, I've never known prices to come down. For some reason, I remember in the 90s buying a soft serve from Macca's, 30-cent cone. They were 30 cents. I don't even know what they are now. I haven't bought one of them for 20 years. But I have this image in my head of when John Howard bought the GST in. I understood at that time it was a temporary tax. Once something comes in, it never goes away. So costs very, very rarely come back down. I'd say one time out of 100. And the likelihood of this one being it is very, very low. The challenging thing is that those people that missed the boat, didn't build before COVID, where they got cold feet during that time. We actually had clients that did. They got cold feet in Brunswick, $700,000 job. It was in early 2020 and, COVID happened. They were pharmacists. So I think they would have, both of them, so I think they would have done quite well. They certainly wouldn't have been out of work. We were about to sign the contract months away, weeks away, and they pulled the pin. That project today, it would be $1 million. So we're not talking about small fry here. We're not talking about small change. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars difference between building only a few years ago to building today. The reality is, since 2020, costs have risen 40 to 50% in construction. And the sad truth for those people back in 2020 is that they may never be able to build their dream sustainable home. So let's talk about what's actually happening in the market right now. There's of course big, scary headlines, but what's actually happening on the ground and understanding where this may lead to. Now, I saw on ABC a few weeks back when this thing kicked off, construction prices soaring again, and there was a builder on there, probably from Queensland, I believe, and he was talking about construction prices rising 10%. We haven't seen that here. I don't know where he got that figure from, but I have no idea, but we haven't seen anything like that. We've had the odd fuel levy. We get an email weekly from a few transport providers, waste companies, adjusting fuel levies. It started out at about 2%, gone up now to about 6.5%, and it did actually come down, I think, this week. And then we've, of course, the headlines are PVC pipe has gone through the roof. It's a 36% increase. But PVC pipe in a residential home is very, very little. There's very little that goes into it. It might be a couple of $1,000s. So 36%, a couple of $1,000s. It's not going to break the bank. We haven't actually seen that passed on by our plumbers. Now, we may see prices rise throughout the supply chain. Again, we've seen very little of it at this point, aside from fuel and PVC pipe. There might be some others. Concrete, I think, was actually one linked to the fuel levy. But the difference this time from COVID is that COVID saw incredible demand for construction. And about the end of 2022, that demand really dwindled. And the last 4 years, and even more so now, we've seen the best availability of trades in Melbourne than I've ever seen in my career. In my 25 years in the industry, trades are more available now than ever. That means they need the work. So what I expect to happen because of this is that a lot of these trades, small businesses, will absorb some of these costs within reason. They'll absorb some of these costs because they need the work and they have long and ongoing relationships with their builders. So I can see, clearly the headlines and everything, the general public are going to be nervous. People are going to be nervous. So I don't expect demand to increase while this exists, but it will at some point. We know Australia has incredible housing shortage, terrible housing shortage, and the government may need to step in and start building homes. But until that day comes, there's a great availability of trades and they want work. They're actually calling us. During COVID, it was absolute hell trying to get contractors to your site, let alone the limitations on access and persons on site. It was just hell trying to get them to schedule in your work. Now, our timelines are moving quicker than they ever have. Availability of trades is better than it's ever been, and we're actually getting called by contractors to work with us. Of course, we're in a fortuitous position. We do great work, and a lot of the contractors call us, want to do great work. It's fantastic at the moment for people looking to build and for us as builders to get our schedules right and to get excellent contractors in place to deliver. I must say, this may not go long term, again, because there is a housing shortage in Australia. This is a window currently right now that's open. It may not be open forever, but now is incredibly good time to build if you're ready. The other big impact is pretty obvious that this energy crisis will have is that the need for energy efficient homes is real. It's not a luxury anymore. It's a real tangible need. It is so desirable for many Australian homeowners. If you can live in a home that you can just batten down the hatches, play it safe, consume energy, but also produce energy, you're in an incredibly strong position to weather any of this storm that may come, the rise and fall of energy costs. We have 2 homes worth mentioning that we finished construction, and these are 2 Victorian terrace homes, so they're not ideally situated for passive solar design. Very challenging to get really good passive solar design in these homes. But these homes make money from the energy that they produce, and because they consume so little. So one of these homes, the savings on the energy bill are around $1,600 a year, and the other home is $2,500 a year. Now, wouldn't that be nice for every Aussie homeowner? Now, that's 11 kilowatts of solar split between the 2 homes, and they do have a Tesla battery, and they're incredibly well built. They have a completely insulated thermal envelope. They're very well airtight. They rank high for air tightness. We didn't even test measure for air tightness, but we did install a HRV, which is a heat recovery ventilation system, because we knew we might be getting under that 5 air changes per hour. So those homes will operate incredibly well with incredibly healthy air, incredibly low energy bills. That is the ideal outcome for any Aussie building their home, is that they don't have this huge spike and trough of energy bills throughout the year. They know with clarity what the energy bills will be and consuming as little energy as possible while producing great amounts of energy. And there's great rebates, of course, for that. The Australian government, there's rebates. They're always changing. Can't keep up with that, but worth checking out. And I know there's the new battery rebates that are available. So that is certainly worth checking out. Accompany those 2 add-ons to a home with a great thermal envelope, and you will weather this storm very well. So navigating from this day forward to getting on site into construction and getting really your home built, let's talk about what a well-run project looks like, managing costs through a volatile time. I must start off, now is not the time to go for the lowest quote. I'd never recommend going for the lowest quote. Do due diligence on your builder, and maybe the lowest quote is the most appropriate. That's fine. But right now, the industry was just getting through the hangover of COVID, where we saw record numbers of builders going under, huge numbers of builders going under, just catastrophic for the builder and the families and the contractors, even more so for those clients that they were building homes for. I fear this may be a similar time. If builders can't appropriately manage costs that may or may not change. And of course, I expect a dwindle or decrease in demand, another very challenging time. Then builders can get desperate for work, and now is not the time to then go for the lowest quote from that builder who's desperate for work. Go with a builder that's been around with a track record, do your background checks, execute with confidence. And now, if you're entering into design or at any stage of design, I'd say stop and go and find a builder that you can trust and work with them to understand where you're at with price now. I'd always recommend that, but since COVID especially, it's been more and more important. So that's engaging a builder through an ECI or early contractor involvement to work with your designer, that they can then value manage your project. Now, it's not about cutting corners, but it's about giving you the appropriate information so you can then make informed decisions for your project about where your money is best spent. Better yet, I would say go to a design and build firm, again, like Sustainable Homes Melbourne. We do, of course, we work ECI with some external designs, but our primary projects, design and build. And the process it's just exceptionally better when it's design and build. We have complete control. We've done dozens and dozens of these homes. So our team, our design team and our estimating team and construction can work together to produce great outcomes. Of course, when there's a designer involved, the way of communication, it's just never the same. It's just not the same. It's just more challenging to get to that end result. So when it's design and build, there's nobody in the middle. Clients dealing directly with the firm that is designing and building their home. That organization, like us, has a direct invested interest to ensure that that project gets to construction. Many design and build firms, well, they don't focus on making, they're not making dollars in design. They want projects to get to construction. That's where design and build firms make their money. So they have an invested interest to get you to there as quickly and as stress-free as possible. And when working with your builder early, when you're about to get to site, of course, at this point, you want to have a signed contract. You want to lock in those key suppliers with their price, of course, early. So we're encouraging a lot of our clients to be forthcoming with the deposit for those suppliers. We've just had a big window supplier that we put a deposit in for, big deposit, but it's important that we lock that contractor in. They are importing some material from overseas. A lot of glass comes from Asia. So locking that in early is incredibly important because we don't know what's going to happen. So sooner we can lock that in, the better. And I'd encourage you to be open to open book with your builder. I'd encourage all builders at this point to go open book. The reason why open book works so well, so any builder worth their salt needs a contingency. A client needs a contingency because variations can occur. And when a builder is running a project, estimating a project, there's hundreds of line items. There is no way a builder would ever get a bullseye for all those line items or come in under for all those line items. There's just no way. So a builder needs their own contingency for all the scopes of the project. So we typically 2%. It used to be 1%, to be honest, pre-COVID. Now we're at 2%. We're hitting that nail on the head. In this time, again, it's fine today. We're not seeing any crazy price increases. Of course, we are seeing waste management increase. But it's very minor. It's nothing for us to worry about. That'll be absorbed comfortably within our contingency. But any builder worth their salt, they just don't know where the future's going to head. So that builders should be increasing their contingency. So rather than increasing your contingency to, 5% during COVID, 5% we've seen a lot of builders still not make money. So maybe 5% is the number that builders should be increasing it to. I'm not sure. We can't predict the future. But the alternative and the avenue we're taking is open book. So we're completely opening our books of project cost, got our builder's margin on that. And so we're reducing the need for our contingency. There's no contingency because the client just pays the true cost of what occurs on site. And we're working with them. We deliver a monthly report on forecast versus actual, a completely transparent process. And in volatile times like this, I encourage everybody to jump on board with this. It's the only way you can get the true cost and be paying the true cost of your build. And of course, a clear dialogue and clear communication all along the journey with your builder is incredibly important. So in rounding out, my clear advice would be to anybody looking to build, if you've got the financial backing, if you've got the cash or you're approved in finance, I wouldn't be holding out. I really wouldn't be holding out. We've seen that. We've seen prices just rise in the past and we don't know what will happen here. Australia has an incredible shortage of homes. We're currently seeing great availability of materials and especially labor. It now seems like a great time to build for that. The thing is, people holding out, say 12 months, in the hopes that prices will go down, it's very unlikely. That's just the beginning and end of it. But the likelihood's probably higher that prices will go up. We don't know where this global scenario is headed. Inflation is rising. So now seems to be a very desirable window to build, but we know it's not going to last forever. Now remember, this isn't financial advice. I'm just a builder with great interest in this whole scheme of things. Of course, I've got boots on the ground and we talk with many people who are dealing with this and understanding of what circumstances may unfold. But I do think now is a great window to get in the game. I'm just really not sure of where it ends up in 12 or 24 months. And I think prices were only going one way and heading north. And the families that build with SHM aren't just focused on a balance sheet. They're making a decision about how they'll feel about the home in 20 or 30 time. They want a home that is comfortable in winter, cool in summer, and resilient to any energy wobbles that the industry may see. These aren't luxury items anymore. They're what a serious and resilient and long-lasting home looks like. Waiting for the perfect time simply won't happen. And history shows that 99 times out of 100, construction costs are only heading one way, and that is upward. Thanks for listening. Until next time, this is House of Meaning.